This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. As always, I'm your host, Ben. As many of you know, if you've been listening to the last few episodes, Alex is not here today. He did not record the previous episode with me for today, and as well as not this one. He is in San Diego. He's living it up at Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con, really the biggest comic convention in the whole entire world. It happens every year in San Diego. All the big stars go there. There's always so much news. Alex is a big comic guy. He really loves DC as well as Batman, so he's really going down there to sort of look at that stuff. He's a big comic guy, but he loves Batman mainly. He's also going down there for a concert. He's going to be listening to a Day to Remember and Blink-182 concert. He'll be back next week when we record again on Tuesday for our 2 episodes and for our soccer show. So we will have to get filled in from Alex about how his vacation was. Ironically, many of you don't know this, but if you heard last episode, you do. We had to delay the start of our podcast here at the GSMC Podcast Network because I was on vacation. Because I was on vacation. I went to Mexico maybe a week before we were scheduled to start. And then I had to sort of reschedule things because I was going to be gone. So we had to start our show late because of me. And now we have Alex gone. So I'm happy he gets to go on his vacation. I hope he's having a blast down there. Don't worry, Alex. If you're listening, everything is going perfectly fine here at the GSMC Podcast Network. You don't have to worry. And I just hope you had a good trip, buddy. So anyways, moving on to the show. We're going to be talking a few things here. First and foremost, going to be talking about Kobe Bryant. He wrote a letter to a 17-year-old self of Kobe. Basically, if he were to go back, make sure you do this. He wrote it in the Players Tribune, a letter to himself about the treatment, mainly of family and friends. Going to be talking about that, talking about Kobe. I also have some thoughts on Kobe in general. Some things maybe I would add to this letter, because Kobe did say there were things he left out, but because he mainly wanted to focus it on the treatment of family and friends. Also going to staying in the L.A. area, talking about Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers star pitcher, former MVP and Cy Young Award winner, has a setback with his back injury. He's been on the DL for quite some time now. Now reports are that he could be out for at least until September, maybe needing surgery and be out the whole year. Talking about Clayton Kershaw, what it means for him, what it means for the Dodgers as a whole as they try to battle the San Francisco Giants in the NL West, as well as battle for a wild card spot. And then we're going to be finishing out the show with our ever so popular, even though Alex is not here, talking what's trending. Going to be featuring people like Alfred Morris of the Dallas Cowboys, Jeremy Lin, recently signed by the Brooklyn Nets, basketball player. Going to be talking some Madden news as well. Madden released the top 10 rookie player ratings for the upcoming Madden NFL 17 video game set to release next month, as well as some jersey sales. We have some NFL jersey sales being released about who just might be on the top of that list. You'll have to find out and wait till the end of the show. So first off, starting off with Kobe Bryant here. I mentioned Kobe Bryant writing a letter to a 17-year-old self in the Players Tribune. This letter is really, really long, so I'm just going to touch on some of the main things he said. I mentioned he mainly focused it on the treatment of his family and as well as friends. So Kobe went on to say that after he retired after 20 years being in the league, all with the Lakers in April, he penned an open letter to himself with the Players Tribune. He wrote some main things is you need to focus out a way to invest in the future of your family and friends. I said invest. I did not say give. He capitalized invest and give. So that's why I'm giving him a little more emphasis. Also went on to say that he talked about his rocky relationship with his parents after they attempted to auction off some of his high school memorabilia. He said, "Our relationship is expletive." Talking to Ramona Shelbourne last April. "I say to them, I'm going to buy you a very nice home, and the response is, that's not good enough. Then you're selling my stuff?" Kobe Bryant did somewhat point the finger at himself for allowing his wealth to hold him and his family back. He wrote, "You will come to understand that you were taking care of them because it made you feel good. It made you happy to see them smiling and without a care in the world. And that was extremely selfish of you." Kobe Bryant, his dad was in the NBA, Bean Bryant, so I really don't think they are looking at Kobe as like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. But he tried to do it as a way to make himself feel good. He also went on to talk about how this was a letter to a 17-year-old version of Kobe, but really I think it's with all millions of kids that become millionaires at a young age. You look at the NBA nowadays, people like Brandon Ingram, Ben Simmons, they're only 18, 19 years old. They're already millionaires. Think about a lot of the younger kids are spending a lot of money. You have people like Vince Young, who had to go bankrupt already. He's an NFL quarterback, so they even get even more money than some of these basketball players starting off with. But he had to file bankruptcy. A lot of times they lose their money right away because they are so... It's like a culture shock for them because they are so... They have no idea what happens when they get all this money, and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to invest it. So Kobe went on to talk about how you need to make sure you invest everything you can. Make sure you put in hard work. Make sure you put in determination. Make sure you do things right from the beginning because it will avoid you a lot of tears and headaches, some of which remain to this day. So obviously Kobe has realized he's made a lot of mistakes in his time. Think about in Colorado with the rape scandal. He's made a lot of mistakes that he wishes he could definitely go back on, which will avoid him a lot of heartache, which he's still feeling today at 40 years old. So this is 23 years earlier. I mean, it's absolutely incredible that Kobe did this. I think he's really, like I said, making this message, not just reflecting on his life, but trying to help people, trying to help these young kids make sure they make right decisions and don't go down some of the same steps Kobe did. Kobe did not mention this, but one thing I would say to Kobe, maybe you could put in a letter. He did mention he's trying to mainly focus on the relationship of his family and friends. If he were to mention about players and relationship with his teammates, how about this, Kobe? Make sure you and Shaq can get along. Think about if Kobe and Shaq could have gotten along. You could say Kobe's legacy could be better than Jordan's. Kobe ends up with 5 rings. He wins 3 with Shaq, and then 2 at the end part of his career with Pau Gasol. If him and Shaq can get along, he could easily have had 7, maybe even 8 championships. Shaq's in his prime. Kobe's in his prime. They can't get along. Kobe's really been an ego guy. Him and Shaq were battling. Just could not get along, so they trade Shaq to the Heat. What does Shaq do? He takes a back seat to a budding superstar in Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade carries Shaq to a championship over the Dallas Mavericks. And then really you have the legacy starting of Dwayne Wade. But think about what Shaq and Kobe could have been. That was easily the greatest duo in the early 2000s. Think about all their battles with the Kings. You keep Shaq a part of the Lakers, they could have do so much more things. Because you already have Pau Gasol coming in at the end part of Shaq's career, if Shaq were to stay on the Lakers. You have Pau Gasol coming in, so you can easily see them winning two rings, which Kobe and Pau Gasol did. But you keep Kobe with Shaq that whole time, they can get along. Not only are you keeping Shaq, but you're bringing in even more players. Think about the possibilities. I look at people like Karl Malone and Gary Payton, who were the first really ring chasers, if you want to call them that, when they joined the Lakers, which they did not win. Gary Payton did get his ring with the Heat. Ironically, part of that Shaq and D. Wade team that beat the Mavericks. But you keep Shaq there, you're going to bring in even more people that are trying to chase rings. So they could have easily won 7, 8 championships. Kobe, if you invest in your relationship with Shaq, you could have been better than Jordan. Just think about that. Anyways, Kobe, I think you made a great decision writing a letter to your younger self. I'm not sure why you did this now. Maybe that you're done with your playing career. You can sort of have more time to reflect. Make sure that you're invested in your family. make sure you're setting your family up to be successful for their families when they get old enough. Kobe does have a few kids, so maybe that's something he's really looking at here with this letter. I'm glad he's sort of maybe maturing in his time now, realizing the mistakes he's made over time, and now that he's not playing, he has time to really reflect and sort of write about these things. So it's good for Kobe. I hope you're going to be happy with your retirement. I hope you do great things, Kobe. You're really a legend of the game. You could have been even better if you stayed with Shaq, though. That's just my last winning thought on Kobe Bryant. We're going to take our first commercial break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Going to be jumping back in after the break, talking LA Dodgers and Clayton Kershaw news. So we'll be right back at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Alex, I will keep your 6 shooters remaining. I'll keep them going for you. So I got the 6 shooters going coming out of the break. Going to be transitioning to some LA Dodgers news. The Dodgers currently playing right now. They're playing the Nationals. We're in the top of the 5th inning. Dodgers opened up a 6-1 lead over the Nationals. We have third baseman Justin Turner. He's gone 2 for 2 with 5 RBIs. He has 2 home runs. The Dodgers playing against the Nationals, Steven Strasburg. He's been lit up so far. He's pitched 4 1/3 innings, given up 7 hits, 6 runs. He does have 7 strikeouts, but he has given up the 2 home runs to Justin Turner. And Strasburg looking like he might suffer his first loss of the season, currently at 13-0 with the ERA of 2.87. So good news for the Dodgers. They are winning today, although the game still is going on, so anything could happen. The bad news for the Dodgers is that their star pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, is going to be out for quite some time. So LA Dodgers manager Dave Roberts did acknowledge that Kershaw could need surgery on his ailing back, although the club hopes that the staff ace will not need it and will be able to return to pitch throughout the season. So he was asked before Wednesday night's 8-1 loss against Washington if there was any more chance for surgery since the initial setback. And then Roberts says, to answer your question, yes. I think that with the way it flared up, it's more of an indication that surgery is more of a possibility, obviously with the way his back responded. But we're still hopeful that he will be back. When we're talking about the back, that is always an option, but we're certainly hopeful that Clayton will be back. Absolutely. So Clayton Kershaw did receive an epidural shot in his back, thinking that maybe it would sort of speed up his process. He did feel better after the epidural shot, and then he kind of rushed it back, and he had another setback. So now the question is with Clayton Kershaw and with his back injury, is that did he sort of have that setback to where it was previously going into the DL, or did he suffer a worse injury and set it back even more? Reports are now that Kershaw could be out until September, and if he had to have surgery, that could possibly be a season-ending surgery. So for the Dodgers, this is super, super bad news. The Dodgers currently only 4.5 games behind the San Francisco Giants in the NL West. Dodgers currently 53-43. Really, the Giants have struggled, though. They haven't won a game since the All-Star break. They're 0-5. They lost last night to the Red Sox 11-7. Hanley Ramirez had 3 home runs in that game, as well as 6 RBIs. So the Dodgers really still in that race for the NL West. And then they're also sort of in the wild card race still. So for in the NL, they currently sit on top of the wild card race by 1 game, as well as the Miami Marlins, who are right behind them. But then there's a ton of teams who are right behind them. So the Cardinals are a game back, the New York Mets are a game back, and the Pirates are 3 games back. Really, that's the only teams that are in consideration, because next you have the Phillies at 8 games back. That's kind of a stretch. But at 4.5 games back in the NL West, they're still battling the Giants. who really going into the break had the best record in the NL, and now they've sort of fallen apart. And now they're still on top of the wild card race. But without Clayton Kershaw, that's going to be devastating. In games that Clayton Kershaw has pitched, they look pretty much unbeatable. But in games where Kershaw has not pitched, they're 2 games under 500. Just think about that. He's really irreplaceable for the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw, he's got 11 wins. His ERA is 1.79. He's got 145 strikeouts. He's 11-2. He's pitched 16 games. He's got 14 quality starts in those 16 games. Only given up 9 walks in just a number amount of innings. 121 innings, 9 walks. That's unbelievable. But with Kershaw out, you have to factor how long can the Dodgers keep their positive play going. I don't think they can do too much. Within their last 10 games, they are 5-5, so that's not too bad. And then the problem with the Dodgers is at home they're really great at 30-18, but on the road they have 23 wins to 25 losses. So the Dodgers really struggle on the road, and they struggle without Kershaw. As I mentioned, they're 2 games under 500 in games where Kershaw does not play. So if you take out Kershaw, what do the Dodgers need to do? The Dodgers have a whirlwind of concerns now. But after Kershaw, they really don't have much pitching. Their next best pitcher after Kershaw is Kenta Maeda, who's 8-7 with an ERA of 3.25. You have Scott Kazmir at 8-3. That's not too bad, but his ERA is 4.3. The Dodgers are in a world of hurt. Maybe with the trade deadline approaching August 1st, the Dodgers can maybe make a trade. There's rumors that a lot of people always come up. There's maybe Sonny Gray of the A's might be available. There's always people that come up closer to as the deadline approaches as far as teams are going to be sellers. There's rumors that maybe the Yankees might be sellers, ironically, but then the Yankees have won their next 4 games, so maybe they're kind of going to swing it around and turn it around and actually not be sellers because they're having some success. So without Kershaw, you have to think about what the Dodgers need to do. Maybe they try to do something that like the Red Sox are doing right now. The Red Sox don't have much pitching, but the one thing the Red Sox have is hitting. You look at the Dodgers' best hitter right now, it's Corey Seager, who ironically is a rookie. He's a shortstop. He's hitting .301. He's got 17 home runs. He's got 111 hits total. He's really having a great year. You have people like Justin Turner. I told you he had 2 home runs already in the game against the Nationals. He's got 50 RBIs. They got some great hitters. Adrian Gonzalez at first base has been solid his whole really entire career. So the Dodgers are hitting the ball pretty well. But without pitching, they might have to do kind of like what the Red Sox are doing, which is just win every game in a high-scoring margin. Look at the game they played the Giants last night. They won 11-7. You got to think that if the Giants get 7 runs from any pitcher, that they're going to win a lot of games. People like Madison Bumgarner, Johnny Cueto, Jeff Samardzija, they've all been really well this year. So if you give them 7 runs, you got to think they're going to get it done. The Red Sox, they need to score almost 10, 11 runs to win a lot of games. Maybe that's the way the Dodgers go. They do have some good bats. Maybe they try to build on that with the trade deadline approaching, because without Kershaw pitching-wise, they're done. They're irreplaceable. I'm actually surprised that the Dodgers have done so well since Kershaw's been out. He's been out for over a month now, and they've really stayed in that NL race, and they're staying on top of that wild card race. While that's great and all, you have to think about, do they have a chance to really beat any team come October? I say no. They're going to be most likely going against teams like the Nationals, currently on top of the NL East. The Cubs, what some people would say is the best team in all of baseball. You have, maybe if the Dodgers are in it, you can maybe say that the Mets are going to be in it. I think the Mets will stay in that wild card race. They have great pitching with Syndergaard. I think they're going to stay there. Also, they have to try and get healthy, though. But the Dodgers' problem is that without Kershaw, I don't see any way possible that they can win a playoff series. Especially in the playoffs, you have to think about what wins in the MLB playoffs. Pitching. They won't have the best pitcher in the game, or really any pitcher, unless they make a big, big trade deadline move. I don't see that happening. So my sort of thing I would do if I was the Dodgers, if I was Dave Roberts, the manager, I would try to add more hitting, because I think that's the best thing they can do, because their pitching's not going to be there. But anyways, it's unfortunate news for Kershaw. You could say he might be on pace for his best season of his career, which is really saying a lot, because he won an MVP award, multiple Cy Youngs. He's a great pitcher. He's the best pitcher in the game. And he's really stayed injury-free his whole career, except for now. And with a back, you really never know, because backs are that one thing that's really never... You never know where it could be, especially with a pitcher, because pitchers get injured more than any other player in baseball. So you got to be cautious with Kershaw. What I would do is I would say get the surgery, get ready for next year, get ready for your future. Just this one season is not worth risking it. But anyways, we'll have to wait and see what they do, the Dodgers as well as Clayton Kershaw. As always, we'll keep you updated here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. They are still winning that game, obviously, 6-1 now in the bottom of the fifth. Lighting up Steven Strasburg, that's definitely a great thing. Julio Urias went 4 innings. He gave up 5 hits and only 1 run, which is great news for the Dodgers. The 19-year-old, he's their top prospect. Really had a shaky start of his career with the Dodgers, but he's so young and coming off a great start here. Only went 4 innings, but he did only give up 1 run. So good news for the Dodgers. They're winning today, but long-term, they have a lot of issues. We'll be right back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We're going to go into what's trending. We'll be right back. Don't you guys go anywhere.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ben. Another out-of-town game here for the baseball. We have in the top of the third, the Orioles have a 2-1 lead over the Yankees. The Yankees having CC Sabathia pitching. He's given up 2 runs, 3 hits through 2 2/3 innings, as well as he struck out 1 batter. The Orioles here, they had a single from J.J. Hardy to shallow left, scoring 2. Manny Machado is one of them. So the Orioles have a 2-1 lead here early in the top of the third inning. The other out-of-town scorers we mentioned in the last segment, the Dodgers have a 6-1 lead over the Steven Strasburg-led Nationals. So we're moving in now to our What's Trending segment. This is really my favorite segment of all the shows that Alex and I do here at the GSMC Sports Podcast. I'm going to move into, first of all, I want to talk about Jeremy Lin. So Jeremy Lin, at his introduction press conference for the Brooklyn Nets, he was recently signed, formerly of the Charlotte Hornets, really had his start with the New York Knicks, moved on to like the Lakers, the Rockets. He's really been an NBA journeyman since he sort of built a foundation in the league. So he is introduced as a new Brooklyn Net, and he's wearing some cornrows. He's bringing the ever-changing hairstyle to the Brooklyn Nets. So he always did different sort of hairstyles here with the Hornets. Now he's bringing a different do with the cornrows. So he's bringing them back with the cornrows. People that were great with cornrows, Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony. Now you have Jeremy Lin, who is the latest to debut with the cornrows. I find it really interesting. He's had things like a man bun, a mohawk, slicked back ponytails. He's really gone all over the best different hairstyles recently, really dynamic different hairstyles. But now he's going with the cornrows. Jeremy Lin, you seem like a nice guy. You went to Harvard. You're definitely a smart guy, but I think you're making a bad decision here with the cornrows. They don't look really good on you, buddy. I'm sorry. Maybe you should ditch those bad boys. But anyway, moving on, talking about some other players here. Going to be talking about some NFL news. So ESPN was talked to about Madden. So Madden has released the top 10 rookie ratings. So number 1, coming in, it's the number 5 overall pick out of Florida State, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jalen Ramsey, the defensive back. Number 2, he got an 82 overall rating. And then right behind him is Dallas Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott out of Ohio State. He got an 80 rating. I don't have the ratings of any of the other guys. I just have the top 10 list. The Madden NFL game is going to be released on August 23rd. So I know Alex said he really likes Madden, so maybe he'll pick it up and then we'll have like a debate about the ratings, like who's rated ahead of others. Maybe who we would rate them ahead of others. But anyways, moving on. So Ronnie Stanley, he's a offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. He got drafted by the Ravens. He's number 3. A big surprise here, Robert Aguayo. We talked about him on our last show. He's a kicker from the Buccaneers. He comes in ahead of people like Joey Bosa, who was number 5 for the Chargers. He's a defensive lineman. Number 6, Laramie Tunsil, offensive tackle from Ole Miss and drafted by the Dolphins. Number 7, Jack Conklin. He's an offensive lineman from Michigan State, drafted by the Titans. Corey Coleman, wide receiver from Baylor, drafted by the Browns. Hunter Henry, tight end from the Chargers. And then rounding out the top 10 for highly rated Madden rookies is DeForest Buckner. He's a pass rusher for the San Francisco 49ers, and he's from Oregon. So there you have it, your top 10 rated rookies in Madden: Jalen Ramsey, Ezekiel Elliott, Ronnie Stanley, Robert Aguayo, Joey Bosa, Laramie Tunsil, Jack Conklin, Corey Coleman, Hunter Henry, and DeForest Buckner. I don't know, I found that pretty interesting. Moving on, I want to keep talking about Ezekiel Elliott because he's making even more news. While he might be the second rated rookie on Madden, he does have the first rated jersey sales since April, according to the NFLshop.com. So Ezekiel Elliott has sold more jerseys than any NFL player. The former Ohio State running back fell 1 yard short of 3,700 over the last 2 seasons. He also had 41 touchdowns. Really just a great college running back in Ohio State. It's a program that's produced some greats like Eddie George. So Ezekiel Elliott beat out people like New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. He was number 2. Odell Beckham Jr. of the Giants, number 3. Cam Newton, quarterback of the Panthers, number 4. Tight end Rob Gronkowski, also of the Patriots, number 5. And then number 6, kind of a surprise here, Carson Wentz, drafted 2nd overall by the Eagles. He's not projected to play at all this year, might even be inactive for some of the games. So Ezekiel Elliott comes in at number 1. I don't really see that as a surprise. The Cowboys are the most popular team in the NFL. They are, quote-unquote, America's team. You have Ezekiel Elliott being their new standout player, good position at running back. He's had a great career in college. Not really surprised there. The big surprise to me is Carson Wentz at 6, as I just mentioned. For me, I would really never I would never buy a rookie's jersey. Because, one, jerseys are kind of expensive as they are. They're like $80 to $100 even for the replica ones. So you're kind of setting yourself back a quick buck on getting a new jersey. If you're getting a rookie, you don't even know how they're going to play. Think about this. Like, I'm sure Cleveland Browns fans rushed to the stores to get Johnny Manziel jerseys right after he got drafted. Now they're selling them for $1.99. I saw this story that they were selling them in Cleveland shops for $1.99, Johnny Manziel jerseys on clearance. Think about people who bought that jersey when he was drafted. They spent $100 on a guy who hasn't even played yet. That's something I would never do. You're doing that with Ezekiel Elliott. You're doing that with Carson Wentz. Maybe if you're a Rams fan, you're buying a Jared Goff jersey. I could see buying a rookie's jersey midway through the season if he's having a good year, kind of like Odell Beckham did, like Todd Gurley did, but I would never do that before the season started. You just don't know how they're going to do. They could be a bust. They could be off the team in a few years, and then you're stuck with a jersey that you paid a lot of money for that you don't want. So now we're going to transition. We're staying with the Cowboys, and we're also staying at the running back position. So Alfred Morris, as I'm sure as you know, he drives a 1991 Mazda that he bought from his pastor back when he was a junior in college at Florida Atlantic. He spent $2 on it. He bought a car for $2, 1991 Mazda, and he still brought it with him to Dallas. So talking here, he had it shipped from Washington, D.C. He didn't get to drive it down from D.C. to Dallas. He just was a free agent, just changed teams in the offseason because he had to be there in a rush. He had to be in Dallas in a rush. So he did not get to drive it down, but he did get it shipped, and he is still driving the car. He said despite being a millionaire, the 25-year-old, the car remains to him because he's not a flashy guy. And I kind of compare this to a couple people. One, Andrew Luck. He just signed the richest contract in NFL history. He has a flip phone. Kawhi Leonard, second in the MVP race last year for the NBA, the Spurs. He also won Defensive Player of the Year. He cuts out coupons when he goes grocery shopping. Some of these guys, Alfred Morris, Kawhi Leonard, Andrew Luck, they're just not flashy guys. Like everyone seems to think that because you make millions of dollars, because you're an athlete, you're so much different than other people. But really, if you talk to some people, they're just average guys who happen to be good at sports. They happen to be good at basketball. They happen to be super tall, or they happen to be quick, really fast, so they're good at track and made millions off of it. They're just average guys, and that's all Alfred Morris is, driving his 1991 Mazda. Leave the guy alone. Who cares if he's made millions? Let him drive his car that he bought for $2. I'm surprised it's still running. A 1991. This is 2016. It's a 25-year-old car. I'm surprised that's happening. I mean, that's good. Hopefully he can maintain it. Maybe he'll keep it up really forever. He has the money to maintain it. He's a millionaire. He's been in the NFL. He's had success. Now he's moving into the Cowboys, really in a backup role behind Ezekiel Elliott. I have to see how he'll do. But anyways, guys, that's going to conclude the show for today. I really do hope you enjoyed it. I hope you did not get too bored of hearing my voice, because I am doing the solo show. I don't have Alex along with me. We will have Alex back for next week's episode. We're going to review about how his trip was in San Diego, how Comic-Con was, how the concert was, and anything that goes on in the world of sports. So as always, I'm Ben. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure you can hear us on a number of different things. You can hear us on our GSMC Podcast Network.com. You can hear us on iTunes, YouTube. We're on Twitter and Instagram at GSMC_sports. You can find us if you're looking for a mobile sort of playback on Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud. There's a number of ways you can hear us. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.